are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today we're joining you from a greased bowling ball juggling contest sponsored by Birkenstock's new line of open-toed sandals. I mean... An unusual marketing campaign, to be sure, but it's not going to be boring.
I was wondering why there were 15 ambulances outside.
Probably not best that they scheduled a Footloose convention during this time as well.
Yeah. Very weird. You know, we always bring you the cutting-edge activities. But anyway, welcome to
I thought it was cooking because I kept saying almond oil, walnut oil. You got all these kind of oils. I was getting excited.
Yeah, but you didn't smell anything good.
Then I walked in and I went, no, this is not good.
No, it's going to be weird. But like I say, it is not going to be boring. And we hope today's episode of Geek Tank Radio won't be boring. I'm Joe Thornerson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass.
Avoiding the bowling balls.
Avoiding the bowling balls. So, it's Halloween season. I wonder if that'll creep into the discussion today.
No, not at all. Brandon and I will totally ignore the topic.
We're looking forward to Thanksgiving because Alan's got to buy a Dutch oven.
Well, here's something I wanted to, I don't often contribute as much during the Halloween season, but this one I think we can all agree on. This is something we're all intimately familiar with because, I'm not into slasher movies. I'm not into all the horror stuff. However, I did grow.
I honestly, I think you would be if you just gave it, the tool man look at it, where you're like, that's a good way of using a weed whacker.
Well, okay, from that point of view, you can see which saw blade you need to amputate. Whatever.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Okay, well, all of us have eaten Frankenberry or Count Chocula. I'm not a big Blueberry fan, but we grew up with this.
I can honestly say that when they brought it back recently, I finally tried both Yummy Mummy and Fruit Brute.
Yeah, Fruit Brute.
That was different.
So the monster cereal universe is alive and well. And actually, Alan and I were at the birth. This was before you were born, Brandon, but I can remember as a little kid when it first came out, and it worked on me. We love that stuff. But there's an interesting history to the monster cereal universe and its fan base. So we're going to unpack
call
that.
it a sordid history, actually.
It's sordid, but it's very interesting, and it's much more involved than people may realize. So we're going to discuss that. I think we have to at least mention Andor episode 6.
Yeah, we can all shame me because I have all the content that's been hitting lately. I haven't caught up yet.
It's been an avalanche.
I don't know what you're thinking, Brandon, but and also just a reminder because Black Adam is coming out October 21st, and I got to get my tickets. I neglected to get those yet. I've already got my tickets for Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. I bought those right away.
Yeah, I went ahead and just pulled the trigger and bought the ticket for the fan event, which is both movies back to back.
Oh,
so I'm excited.
Okay,
wow.
So you're in for the long haul that day. So we got quite a bit to get to. But you guys, before we get to that, I kind of had I'm going to call this a YouTube beef. And it's funny how we talk about this technology can change overnight. But all of a sudden, in the course of really 2 days, I'm like, why is my YouTube so weird right now? Because, I watch a certain niche type of video, just like I'm sure you guys do. And now I'm getting all of these.
a certain niche type of video.
You really do.
So you watch a video, maybe you watch a video on, whatever it is. And then all of a sudden it gives you these recommended videos, which is useful. Okay, but all the recommended videos they're giving me are less than a minute long. Which, what are you going to say in 50 seconds? And I'm like, what? Okay, the algorithm seems like they just flipped a switch and it's totally different.
Yeah,
so what's going on, Brandon?
So, of course, YouTube always wants to make sure that they are the king of, online streaming media. Whatever.
Okay, yeah.
And, of course, we know from the birth of, Vines up through Snapchat, now to TikTok and Reels, they want to do the really quick content. So, of course, YouTube has been pushing their shorts.
Okay.
Something happened in this latest update to YouTube. It did a nice reformatting. Things are a lot easier to find now, except now if you watch something let's say you wanted to watch something about the Easter eggs in Andor.
Okay.
Anything that has the tag Star Wars immediately shows up as the first 50 recommendeds, and they're all between a minute and a minute and a half long.
Yes.
And I know that people, they like the short content. They like the quick bites. But for those of us who are going down YouTube rabbit holes, which the three of us are known for doing, if nothing else, as research for the show, I don't get any. I love for that.
Alan, I could see it as a quick hack. It's like, okay, what do I marinate my such and such with? Okay, you could do that in a minute, but I don't see
but
it.
then
I'm throwing in, YouTube was not the only one that did this.
Okay.
Facebook also did this.
Oh.
They're also throwing in the celebrate your shorts.
Well, yeah, but that's,
so everybody is, kind of aiming at the TikTok market.
But that's the reels, and I mean, it's one thing to go ahead and give them to you so that you can, you can start doing the, the competition. But when I go through my Facebook, the reels are actually lined up all together. I don't have to watch them if I don't.
You don't have to click on it.
You can just scroll past
it. It tells you exactly what it is. Now, the thing is, Joe, what you need to look out for when you're looking at recommended videos, there is a little box up in the very top that has a red, almost lightning bolt looking S.
Okay, but
and it's
I
very
watch it on
tiny.
TV. I haven't found those.
Well, no, they're still there, but they're very tiny. So you're like, oh, this sounds like something I'd want to watch. And it's somebody dancing to the 30 seconds of Andor opening.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
But
in a 1977 Ewok costume.
Okay, but don't you think whenever somebody is I still personally like YouTube, and I'm like, I don't know
an option to turn off shorts recommendations, and that's on all platforms.
See, that's the thing. I thought my wife was watching a video that you could do it from your iPad or your phone or something, but I haven't found out how to do it from the TV. But it takes a little work, and I mean, I know this is a first world problem, and it's hardly earth shattering, but still, they don't want to. They're a business. They're already upsetting their content creators because they said suddenly if you're somebody that makes 10 or 15 minute long videos, now you're getting like half the views or a third, and some people that's kind of their livelihood or something.
Sure.
There's a few I wouldn't mind going under. I hate to say it, but
but we all have that one YouTuber we want to stop showing up in our feeds who, even when we say do not recommend to this channel, do not recommend this video, somehow still ends up in there.
Yeah, but I don't know. Very interesting. I guess I'm just sort of curious about whenever somebody's reactionary to me. That's and you change your business model to me. That's when you get into trouble. Right. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But hey guys, let's turn the corner. Here's a company that did not change their business model. They took a proactive approach and they created the Monster cereal universe back in 1971. A history that involves unique marketing and even strays into children being hospitalized because they thought they had intestinal issues. That a lot of fun with cereal. Yes. Oh yeah, and we're all going to do it next here on Geek Tank Radio. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass. And it's that Halloween season. And like I said, I usually have nothing very valuable to contribute because I love October. I would have to say October might be my favorite month of the year. I think everybody loves October.
And those of us who celebrate October all month long appreciate you, Joe.
And I love Halloween. I think Halloween's a lot of fun. I draw the line when it comes to, like, I'm not going to be watching The Exorcist or slasher movies or things like that.
Don't worry. I'll be by later to get all those pecans laying all over your yard. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But I still like to get in the spirit of the season. And I thought, well, the only thing I could think of that I could contribute that's remotely Halloweenish and something that's a shared experience between all of us, except Max. I don't think Max has ever even touched a bowl of Count Chocula or Frankenberry. But
to quote Chris Traeger from Parks and Rec, I think an ounce of that would literally kill me.
It would. Max.
Well, yeah, actually, yeah, it would.
Max has a very specific diet. I've never seen anybody that eats as healthy as Max. He has zero fat on his body. He's very
warm
disciplined.
Liquid protein diet. Don't worry about it.
So
leave K2SO alone. He won't be around till next season. Let's get on with this.
So Alan, back in the day, I grew up in the 70s. I have memories of the 70s because I was a little kid back then. And it's a real mixed bag. I remember a lot of tragic stuff.
I was older.
And I remember a lot of stuff that still is around today.
Be older.
The Hanna-Barbera Saturday morning cartoon lineup, that was great. Mixed in with Looney Tunes and everything. You got up at 6 in the morning, even though it was the day after, it was a Saturday, you got your cereal, you sat down and you watched TV till noon.
Yes, you did.
And you went outside and played all day. But you did not miss this, and that was really something that was connected to this whole monster cereal universe. But then as people, well, Alan, as you've told us in the past, back in the 60s, people were, we were finally at a point where just about everybody had a television set. But back in the 50s, it was a luxury item.
Yep.
So marketing through television wasn't as popular as like marketing through radio or something.
And Alan
like
was
that.
one of the first TV salesmen in America.
Right.
I do remember my first color television show was The Grinch.
Okay, there you go.
So, all right, well, let's back up just slightly, and then we're going to pull forward.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the birth of the cereal wars, Battle Creek, Michigan.
Yeah.
And the infamous...
Geez, he's going way back.
No, the infamous Mr. Kellogg with his crazy idea about corn and being the perfect food. He set up a battle between all of these cereal companies.
Yeah.
So, and when I say battle, I mean, we're talking like stealing each other's trucks, sabotaging deliveries, whatever they had to do. Now, let's fast forward to the early 70s, and suddenly we have this new medium. We have the news. And keep in mind, the news at the time was the Vietnam War. But that was the trigger that riveted people to a television. And then somebody went, we're missing a marketplace here. And Saturday morning cartoons were born.
Well, I want to say...
And that became the bedrock of a lot of channels.
Well, here's the thing, Alan, because if we are gonna hit the Wayback Machine, I just want to mention something because Rice Krispies, those Snap, Crackle, and Pop guys go back to the 1930s.
Yes.
What changed back then was they recognized, okay, cereal isn't just for adults. This is a kids thing, and it's going to probably become predominantly kids, and we got to sell to them. And so let's circle back to the monster cereal universe. In 1971, what was most important was you want to create the experience of you're taking your kids to the grocery store and they want to grab that box of cereal.
Yes.
They don't care what it tastes like. They don't care they don't care how healthy it is. So that's what it's all about, catching people's eye. That's why you got the Trix Rabbit and Captain Crunch and Tony the Tiger.
There's another technology change that happened in the 60s. And that was the amount of color and style that we could print on something.
Okay.
So printing also changed. So here we go rolling into early 70s, and now we can put really bright colors that are going to last on a box.
Well, and here's the other thing. So apparently back in this era, I do recall that the Universal monsters were suddenly very popular again. They were being rerun in TV.
They for a span of about 5 to 7 years.
About 5 years, yeah.
Anytime you turned on your local stations on a Saturday or Sunday, they'd be showing one of the Universal Monster movies because they were being in a rolling syndication.
With a huge Memphis tie-in.
Here we go. Alan just can't help going in the weeds. Okay.
No.
We've got to get a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all a huge part of this because suddenly there's all this media, and General Mills was desperate to get ahead in this fight with their competition.
Okay. So, and then here's the ironic part. So the head of whoever, General Mills, wants to appoint somebody to come up with the next Tony the Tiger or the next popular thing. So they handed it off to an intern who didn't even know anything. Her experience with monsters or anything like that was literally the old Frankenstein and Bela Lugosi and stuff. Even though there were currently more updated ones, and she came up with Frankenberry and Count Chocula, and they were supposed to be this duo competing over whose cereal was better.
Yes.
And they were afraid of children.
And they always got afraid, like they'd argue with, and then some character would come in at the end of the commercial and go, I like them both. And that's, for some reason, a little squirrel or a kid scared them, and they ran off through the wall or something. But it's like, okay, well, that's a fun little ad campaign. Who would have thought, what are we looking at, 51 years later,
yes,
it's as popular as ever. And we're in the season now, Brandon, where they don't do it every year, but they bring it back for the fall, right?
It happens every year now. Every year between about September 15th and the beginning of November, if you go into your local Target, you can find the original 3 with updated boxes. Or a couple of years ago, they did the classic boxes.
They did the classics,
as well as releasing Fruit Brute, and Yummy Mummy, which had never been on shelves together at the same time.
No, what I meant was, I'm sorry, they didn't. It's a seasonal thing. It's like Pumpkin Spice. They don't sell it year round. And it's a really interesting history. You know, we barely scratched the surface.
Yeah,
We're gonna
wait
have
until
to
we
do it.
get into merch.
Yeah, and because I still to this day, I like to go to those unique T-shirt websites where they make these unusual T-shirts, and a lot of them, man, you get I mean, Jim Lee did the cover of one of the or did the cereal box for one of the retro ones.
He did a Blueberry.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's the branding wise, it's great. So I mean, we've only just begun to unpack this or to open the box.
I'm just waiting for the medical stuff.
Yeah,
I care about that only.
That'll be the next segment.
All right. Well,
we had to do the history.
We're gonna unpack it next on Geek Tank Radio. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmsted and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass. And boy, if I don't know why we don't just leave the microphones on during the break and put this on as bonus footage, because we just unpacked a lot off the air, you guys. But,
because the FCC fines would be enormous.
Okay. And I already see where this discussion is going. So, Brandon, I didn't warn you guys. I'm just going to take care of one quick business. We are a month away from the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention coming up November 18th through 20th. There's a lot of information that we're not going to unpack here. Just go to memphiscfc.com to learn more, and definitely join our Facebook page at Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, and also go to Geek Tank Radio and join our Facebook page there.
I want to take a moment though to actually apologize to the MCFC fans out there. I was wanting to get the programming schedule up this past week, and due to a couple of issues we had with Google, it's being restructured and put back together. So we should have it up for perusing very soon.
You got gaggled at Google.
Yeah, but I mean, having it up even 30 days out, nobody does that. I mean, it's hard to do that because programming schedules change and everything.
You're an overachiever. It's okay.
The good thing is Brandon created this. He created this. What is it called? Not a barcode. A
QR code.
A QR code on your badge. So even if there's a last minute change, you just hit the QR code. And
it'll take you directly to our programming schedule.
Right. So memphiscfc.com, November 18th through 20th.
See, I did learn something during the pandemic besides, how to really mess up.
Yeah,
bread.
making QR codes. So, all right, guys, we were talking about the Monster Cereal universe, which was launched in 1971. It started with Frankenberry and Count Chocula, created by some intern. I wonder if she got rewarded for this. She was not. She didn't even have an office. They said she was like in a hallway or something on a chair.
Yeah, basically
working.
on the corner. Yeah.
Right, and I hope she got a nice fat promotion. Well, once it became very popular right away, based on. Whoever the artists were, they did a great job. These were kid friendly, but also interesting to adults. Right. I mean, reminiscent. And let's just throw it out there. When you were a kid, one of the first things you did was you took the Frankenberry box and you turned it on its side and you went, look what that looks like. And
so you were the prototype for Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah. It looks like a buttocks, let's just say that.
Yeah, okay.
And they haven't changed it, so they're apparently
Frankenberry has a butthead. It's all good.
It's all right.
Well, before we get to some more of the marketing and the longevity of that, we do want to say that early on in the history of the cereal, well, we were talking about the name of the game was make colorful packaging, make memorable characters and also make the cereal not just about the eating the cereal, but what does it do to the milk? If you can change the flavor of the milk, now you've suddenly got a bowl of chocolate milk and strawberry flavored milk, and there were side effects to this.
Well, all right. Also keep in mind there were there were a lot of innovations in food. Period. We were getting fast food. There were fast food preservatives. We were getting all this stuff, and we were getting into food coloring.
Bingo. Yeah.
And
that's the key.
Welcome to suddenly that bowl of Frankenberry was pink. You opened the box and it wasn't, no matter what was on the box, basically what was in the box was some variation of brown.
Right. So
pretty much every cereal out there, every competitor out there, and here they come rolling out because the FDA had approved something called red dye number 2 and red dye number 3.
And what happened, folks, was children started experiencing what they thought was abdominal bleeding.
I'm going to go ahead and just cut through it all. They were leaving strawberry ice cream in their potties.
Right. And so but they felt perfectly healthy, and this became a thing.
Don't digest those dye colors.
Yeah, they don't break down.
And so Frankenberry was suddenly tied to this whatever. Now, apparently it was sort of harmless, but it people were afraid. They're like, what the heck's going on? So they had to change the way. Now, obviously, Count Chocula, it wasn't an issue.
Well, no.
we don't know what that dye did or didn't do.
We would see later on with, I think it's blue dye number 4 that was used in Blueberry, which will turn your stool green.
Bright green. So, and also, Burger King learned that a few years ago with the black hamburger buns.
That's because, and anybody who's used too much oyster sauce will tell you that coloring will do that.
But once again, you have to wonder if this is great marketing, and it just really depends on how you use the information. But it didn't deter anything. People still love the.
Let's face it. If you actually told an 8-year-old, eat this cereal, and you will have purple poop.
Yeah.
You would have people down the street lining up for this cereal.
Okay, well,
I mean, remember back in the 90s, they did that with ketchup, and it looked like baby poop.
Well, here's the thing. We've seen iterations of Ronald McDonald. We've seen the evolution of the McDonald's characters.
Right.
Now, for some reason, though, Frankenberry and Count Chocula, not so much Blueberry or Fruit Brute. They kind of didn't have the longevity, but there's an appeal to these characters that I thought was interesting. They're still popular today.
Yeah, and they haven't really changed their design much. It's been streamlined. It's been a little rounded, a little more modern art. Artistic, more modern comic art,
right?
And like you said, recently they did a resurgence with
the DC comic book artist did
doing covers, and there's just something about them that it connects with with your childhood. It's a very nostalgic feeling. It's like if I don't see the monster cereals at Halloween, it seems wrong.
Yeah,
and let's face it, the genius of both cereals was they chose 2 easily repeatable flavors.
Chocolate
2 favorites. They went right for the big 2, and everything else, all the other flavors kind of come and go. But let's face it, the 2 strongest classics ever, and strawberry and chocolate.
I mean, let's face it, Frankenberry, Frankenstein goes back to the 1700s, right? I mean, and Dracula, these
1800s.
1800s. These are as established as you can get. And it's interesting how
they're the classics.
The classics last. And I don't know. We barely even scratched the surface on this. We were way ahead of the curve. About 6 years ago, we introduced the idea of launching the cereal box characters cinematic universe. Now there's talk of that. Don't be surprised if in a year or two you go to the movies and it's Frankenberry versus,
don't worry, our attorney will be contacting you soon.
And instead of the Infinity Stones, it'll be the Kidney Stones.
Yeah. Wow, Max.
Wow.
If you've got any happy memories of your adventures with these cereals or things you used to do to prank people with this, send us go to Geek Tank Radio's Facebook page and give us a message over there. So all right, we may chime in on this again, but it's time to shift gears when we come back, because we got to talk about Andor episode 2. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max over there behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, we've been talking, among other things, about the monster cereal universe with, primarily Count Chocula and Frankenberry. Blueberry kind of took a sideline. And I just want to mention this because this actually transitions into what we're going to discuss. There were others. There was Yummy Mummy. There was Fruit Brute. There was Blueberry, who was more popular. However, these didn't have the longevity of Frankenberry and Count Chocula, and part of it has to be because they said Fruit Brute did not have a clearly defined flavor.
Right.
It was like fruit, but some people said it tasted like lime. Some people said it tasted like what? Raspberry.
Well, that's the thing is it was not designed to be a specific, but
And Yummy Mummy is the same thing. You can't just be all flavors or all things to everybody.
The thing about Yummy Mummy is it's if you tried the newest one, it is orange creamsicle with vanilla marshmallows, but it also has bigger marshmallows than the others do. It has what they refer to as monster mellows.
It does.
Yeah.
But did you know, Joe, that you can actually get them all in one mixed box?
Oh, that sounds awful.
It's called the Monster Mashup, and while it's all the different shapes that you would get from the originals, because they were always shaped to look like the characters.
Yeah.
As far as the marshmallows went, it has its own basic flavor. The marshmallows are vanilla, but it's not like a mixture of all the flavors. It's just designed so that you have all the different shapes.
Okay.
It's actually fairly tasty. I had it last year, and I'm planning on buying a box this year.
Okay. Well, I think we can all agree though the longevity belongs to to Count Chocula and Frankenberry.
I like Captain Chocula.
I'm dying for Captain Chocula.
They also are the only two that actually got to share a box cover with their inspiration.
Okay, what a
I'm
muddy.
trying to keep you off Andor because I don't want spoilers.
Okay, what I was going to say was they have a clearly defined focus, and it's a clearly defined item, and you're going to like it or you're going to hate it. And bingo, that gives us Andor. Because
clearly defined focus, unlike you guys.
Andor is completely focused. In fact, they even said that. They're like, they stick to a point of view, and you're going to either like it or you're not. But I like that. I would much rather have, because it's polarizing. There's some people that say it's boring. It's too serious. It's
I will
not
say
fun.
that the first two episodes have a lot of exposition in them.
Yeah.
But I would never say any of it was boring.
No, I think it's great.
But I deal with a certain individual on the regular who, if it doesn't have action nonstop, he yells at me.
Right.
It's like, how did you like that? It's like,
well, I think what's going to happen, though, is a lot of people will agree if you can stick it out and make it to episode 6. And we're going to not do spoilers very much because Brandon hasn't seen it to his shame. I don't know why.
Because
this has been the biggest build-up.
I had two of the most amazing finales in cinematic history this week.
Okay.
I had the She-Hulk finale and I had Halloween Ends.
Oh, okay.
And Clerks 3 dropped on digital, so I watched that like 3 times.
And we got to see a Feige.
We did get to see
a Feige.
We saw a Kevin. That's the difference.
It's hilarious.
Well, this is not a spoiler because it's right there. And folks, if you've been following Andor, you know that they're leading up to this big heist where the goal is to steal, they said, the quarterly payroll of an imperial sector, which I don't know what that is. I don't know how big a sector is, Brandon, but it's a lot of money.
Right.
It's going to get the attention of the empire. This is going to make a big impact. What's great about this is we've seen like Ocean's 11 or even Ant-Man to a degree, a heist show, and it's flawless. Mostly it's squeak. They get in, they get out, they outsmart everybody. Well, this shows you, as we've said before, it's gritty. People get hurt. People make mistakes. People, and it's not so. You're like, I don't know if I even like the Rebels right now. I mean, I hate to say it. It's dirty and gritty. So
the show kind of reminds me of like stuff like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, where we're gonna go rob the train and we use too much dynamite,
right?
And they blew up there's mistakes.
Yeah.
These people are. These are not infallible characters. These are very flawed characters.
Right.
I'm going to go back to a different, but it's still just as gritty, and there's heist involved. I'm going to go to Firefly and Serenity. They introduced a character called the Operative, who, he's the bad guy in the movie, and there's a moment where he says, he's like, I'm a monster. What I do is evil, but it must be done.
Yeah,
he sees it as him having to do these things to better society, but it's a society he knows he could never be a part of.
Yeah, I want to ask you something. And this isn't a spoiler. This is a point of view. I rarely, as you know, get involved with Facebook stuff, but I do follow certain groups, and I'm part of 3 or 4 different Star Wars fan pages. And this one, I made a post and I said Andor is actually not the star of the show. The Empire is.
Okay.
That was my point of view, and because I really think we're seeing a side of the Empire that we haven't seen before, and we're really seeing this is what it looks like in from the upper echelon and all the way to the street level, and to me that's fascinating.
And see what we've always seen before is like we know that Palpatine is Sith, and he's got Vader by his side, and we see the stormtroopers are basically German shock troopers,
right?
And we see the evil of the Empire. But what we're getting to see in Andor is that it's not that black and white.
Right.
There are people who are working with the Empire who, they're genuinely good people, and they think that they can do some good. And
if you were raised in that environment and you want to be a cop, well, I mean, like we said, one of my favorite guys, he's legitimately trying to be a good person and serve in his duty. So it's really fascinating. And, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but for me, and it's very smartly written. And it's the best dialogue I've heard yet.
I think one of the greatest things about Andor is the fact that it is showing you what goes into a resistance.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's not always the prettiest of things, no matter what. Road to hell is paved with good intentions.
And Danny Bruns, if you're out there, because I think she is, we've been trying to get her kicking and screaming into the world of geekdom. And as we've said, these are just vehicles to tell stories with bigger themes and deeper. This is basically a heist It's a heist show. It's a political thriller. It's there's a lot of themes emerging here that are fascinating.
And just when you think you know what's going on, it's not.
No. And so, Brandon, how many episodes are they doing this for this season?
There are, I believe there's 12 episodes in this season.
Oh, wow. So we're only halfway through.
And each one of these story arcs goes 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm. And I would say, folks, because it's turned a corner now. Now things are getting real. So I can't wait till next week's episode. It's going to be great. But, guys, next week will be even closer to Halloween, so expect some Halloween themes.
Brandon, did you know it's Halloween?
What? Spooky season?
Spooky season. Did you catch that?
Yeah,
but in the meantime, we're out of time, you guys. So it's time to get out of here. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Ellen Gilbreth.
I'm Maximilian.
And I am Brandon Olmstead, telling you to get out to Target and try your own General Mills horror cereals.